Hey everybody, Anthony, 4 Adventures. This is about a take 4 actually. Take 2, take 3, take 4. How many times have we been out on a Simpson desert trip, and for weather conditions we haven't been able to get across or get out there, or maybe access from one side. Anyway, this one is looking good. The weather's beautiful. The track's apparently in good condition. Should be an easy run and we should be able to complete it. So next stop at the moment, we're just heading between Mount Dare and Dalhousie Springs. So the next stop will be for a swim in the springs, and I'll include what information and scenery and photos and stuff in the video as I can, but I'm going into relax mode, so might not get all the right stuff. This track, in my opinion, pretty good condition. Again, they said it's a bit rough, hasn't been graded, but I've been down here when it's absolute rubbish and there's big rocks, all the stuff pushed off the side of the track, like when all that was on the track type thing, and that's when it was something to be complain about. But at the moment, 80 k's, there's a lot of areas you've got to be cautious, 60, 70, 80, a bit of water damage here and there. There is a few big rocks around, a few wet areas, a bit of water still sitting around. It's been sitting around for a long time. So yeah, let's see what happens, eh? Anyway, we're out here. We passed Perny Bore about half an hour ago. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, and a little bit early for a campsite, although I'm seeing quite a few nice areas just like here both sides to go and camp up. But we will continue to at least 5. It's still 31 degrees, so let it cool down a bit. And the sand is really firm. We're on 23 psi and it's just like driving on dirt so far. Let's see what happens. Good morning. What's going on here? You might be able to get over that since it's wet.
I'll take the left.
Second go maybe. one does look a bit steep, but we'll give it a crack anyway. Don't hit it too fast, just see what happens like usual. Looks way too steep. I'm thinking that one's a little bit too steep and sharp. Incoming where you went, Moz.
Copy.
Alright, so we come over one of the dunes. There's a bit of an area to have a play around. And the class clown has got himself bogged, which is alright, all part of the fun. Come over the crest a bit slow and pick which way to go, because you can go down the side onto this track. Oh yeah, so there's a few options over there anyway. Bit of a strap, bit of a tow for a quick recovery back onto the track. So we are right in the middle of the Simpson Desert, and the HILUX has had some mechanical issues. Some bolts that never come loose and never fall out have come loose and fallen out. If you don't want to miss what happened, make sure you subscribe on 44 Diesel, and more details on what happened in a separate video. But we're going to do a bush mechanics, we'll go over and get it mobile again, and then hopefully get out to Birdsville and might organise a solution in the meantime. We'll see how we go, so be prepared. Goodness, another sand dune. Doesn't work if you go that slow. Ha ha. Third time lucky. That was the sand dune we stopped in front of for the lunch break, and I was going from there. Went up very slow. Slow didn't work on that one, but yeah, backed it up, had another go, didn't work again. Third time, just a little bit quicker, a few k's an hour faster. Beautiful. Alright, so we're right out in the middle of the Simpson Desert at exactly the halfway mark, and it's time to give you an update with a bit of vehicle dramas we've had, a few things like that, but this is, I suppose, why it's time to also talk about you don't come to remote places on your own. I know a lot of people do it, and you can get lucky, but there's a lot of things, you know, checklist, tick these boxes if you're going to go remote places. You know, there's a lot of things you need besides a reliable vehicle, hopefully, good health, hopefully, some food and water for how long, you know, this sort of thing. Communications maybe, because sometimes things don't go to plan. And as much as I thought, look, here we are, we've got 5 reliable vehicles. You know, we've just done over 10,000 kilometres in 2 of the vehicles, including this one, without any service or inspection whatsoever. And you think, oh yeah, we're cruising, we're taking it easy out here, so we're not giving the cars a hard time, which gives it your best chance of survival, you know, making it through without any hassles. And like I always say in other videos on 4x4 diesel, it's always the aftermarket stuff, and careful who you let work on your vehicle. So first thing that happened out the middle of the desert is not a big deal, you know, a bit of playing around, you know, we'll have a bit of a crack at these sand dunes here and whatever. So one vehicle got a bit stuck, wasn't a big deal, and it wasn't the cause of what's gone wrong with the HILUX, but that was the first recovery. In the end, digging and max tracks did the job, needed to go backwards. So a quick pull backwards would have been the easiest usually. A strap's easier to get out and set up than digging and max tracks usually. Don't dig yourself in, the usual thing. Once you come to a stop, that's it, you know. And if you're not over the dune, you're going to need to go backwards and try again, whether it's with max tracks, letting your tyres down, winches, snatch straps, whatever it is. Because think of the dune, it's a bit of a, you know, the crest, it's a wall, so if the car's on one side of it and you're on the other, it's unlikely you're going to pull the car over the hill, because you're trying to pull it into the hill. And this is where recoveries can become dangerous. If you pull it hard enough, it might work, depending on the angles. There's a lot of variables there. But why would you pull it that hard? It's much easier to go with gravity, back down the same way and have another go, make some changes, whether it's speed, tyre pressures, whatever. So that's all good. But what by chance happened at the same time, attempting to do a recovery with the strap of the vehicle that was stuck near the top of the dune, something went pop in the HILUX, and it really didn't sound good, you know, whether it was a CV or a diff or things that can break. It didn't make sense that something would break. Just sitting there facing down a smooth sand dune, just giving a little bit of pressure, a little bit of pull to help the Prado over the top of that hill, which wasn't going to work, I don't think, but poof, something let go. And it turned out to be the diff mounting bracket bolts, where the 3 bolts go to the diff. Funny thing is, if you watch all the videos, it might have been in a video where we found, yeah, we'd already found the, you know, that diff mount bolts loose. One was missing and they were loose, so a bolt got ordered, it got replaced. They all got tightened up really tight at the time, but they got loosened up again to install that 3rd bolt. So we're not too sure if they were not tight enough like the first time, or if because the vehicle's got a locker, LOKKA, that's always locked and requires pressure to unlock, and then it does a bit of a jerking, you know, that vibrating the diff around a bit of twist, bit of vibrating, bit of, you know, maybe not. It's also got the K-on diff drop brackets, so there's a few variables there. But these bolts don't come loose, they don't fall out. I don't think I've seen it or heard of it on any other one of these vehicles before in the workshop. So something funny going on, but that's what happened. Those bolts, they didn't just fall out right there and then, they were working their way loose. Obviously 2 went missing a while ago, and it was the last one holding it, and under the slightest pressure it's probably just popped out with the last thread, just pop, and it's gone. So 3 diff bolts missing. So what do you do there? In the meantime, because the diff's moved, it becomes dangerous to take out the engine, because the diff can hit a few components, the steering rack, the sump, crack or bust a hole in the sump where all the oil goes out, then you got no engine either. Become a trailer. So there's a few dramas there with that, but luckily it was only the drive shaft that the tripod stepped out, the bearings fell out, so it's not a full schmozzle, but either way the 3 bearings are out, so the tripod's still sitting in the cup and it's still turning, that sort of thing. So we haven't removed anything. We need the drive shaft to hold the front wheel bearing assembly together. And this is what I mean, you need mechanical knowledge, you need experience, you need people that are handy on the tools when you go on a trip. You can't really just go on your own and have no idea and hope. Well, you can. I mean, you know, you work it out. You can just use your sat phone and call in the tow truck for 20 grand, whatever, and all that sort of thing. You can do that, I suppose. You can do what you want. I'm just giving some advice, things to think about. Do you know about your vehicle? Are you prepared to work on it? You know, we've got the most reliable vehicles here, but as I always say, it's the aftermarket stuff. So be very careful. Loctite is a lesson as well. So, you know, if these bolts ever come out from me, now that it's happened twice on any vehicles in the workshop, it's going to be Loctite going on these bolts. They're going to be F-tight. And if one ever comes, has anyone else had this issue before? Let us know in the comments. We'll do some separate videos on 4x4 diesel in due course. But I just thought I'd mention this Simpson desert video. I'm just going to chuck all the footage together. Hopefully it's in the right order. I'm just going to slap it all together and go, there you go. And you get all the footage uncut, photos, videos, whatever you want, whatever you don't want. And if you want to know more about what's happened, subscribe and turn the bell on to both channels, because it all sort of comes together. If you're watching one and not the other, sometimes you won't know what I'm talking about, because, you know, one's the touring side, you know, this is mainly the touring, but mechanical things happen on the touring. And in the mechanical side on the other channel, you know, 4x4 diesel, it's a 4B, four-wheel drive. So we also talk about four-wheel drive stuff on the 4x4 diesel channel. So even if you haven't got a Prada or a diesel, there's probably a lot of information there for you that can come in handy. But of course, you've got limited time and you can only gather whatever information you decide to gather. My information might not be for you, but I bet if you're watching this video so far still, I reckon you've worked out that it is. So lucky for Mark, he's always in the workshop on the tools, very hands-on. If you have your vehicle there or something to get some work done, you won't get to work on it, because he'll get onto it before you can work out where your Phillips head is. He'll have the full tool set out and be under the vehicle getting it sorted, and that's exactly what happened there in the desert. You know, I'm the thinker, thinking, planning, whatever. What's the best thing to do? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? So what did we do in the end? We took a bolt. We got another very handy Prado owner to take one of his bolts out of his diff. He's got standard bash plates, fairly easy access in comparison to the other options. So while he did that, Mark got under there, had a look what was going on. Obviously we'd already worked out about the bolts missing, and that we needed to secure the diff so it didn't hit the sump and take out the engine, because we at least want two-wheel drive. So front propeller shaft came out. Lucky he's got an ADD disengaging button, which will help as well. So it's basically a rear-wheel drive. Front propeller shaft's out. The CV bearings are not there, so it's jingle bells, but you wouldn't really hear much. It's just the tripod inside the cup, just turning without the bearings, won't go anywhere. It's perfectly safe. It's just not normal. You wouldn't do it forever. It's going to be noisy. It's not the normal standard setup. It's got some bits missing, but it's not going to come out, or you know, it can come out anytime, but it's unlikely in what we're going to be doing. The smoothest, simplest line that we're paving out now, calling anything that's a bit harder for a bit more momentum. We've got to look after that rear diff, because it's the last one we've got. Then the vehicle becomes a trailer if something happens with the back end of it. And lucky, that's why we've got 5 vehicles. We've got 4 cars that can either take turns, or like a train, tow the HILUX over whatever sand dunes we need to, using the right straps and tyre pressures, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G's, the whole alphabet really in place on a trip, you know, in a bit of planning. What would you do if? It takes a bit of thought, because if you don't plan, you end up one of those people that are out here, and it does happen to a lot of people, you know, oh, they didn't have enough water, this broke, and you know, and often there's a lot of people out here, but we've seen one car all day today. It's now 4:35 p.m. We spent about 3 hours. Yeah, 4:39 p.m. and so in the end today we haven't even done 100 k's, which is all right. We've got time. That's the other thing. Planned time. Late for a very important date. You know, if you got your date set up, well, might not always work out. So keep that in mind. Always have other vehicles that are the same come in handy for parts. Like I said, we took the front diff bolt out of another vehicle, the mounting bolt. We've only used one just to hold the diff there. It's not driving, it's not pushing forward, but we're going to need to check it every couple of hours as well, because we've only got one bolt. If 3 came loose, one bolt could come loose, okay, even though it's going to be helpful if it's not driving, so it'll probably be okay, but we've got to check it because we can't keep taking bolts out of other vehicles. We'll not make it out. We've got 250 k's to go to Birdsville, right? We're out in the middle of the desert, so we need to make sure it all works. So the HILUX is doing the rest of the desert in 2-wheel drive, so we've got some little challenges. We're lucky that now in April, and it's been damp recently, it's nice and firm. The track's really good. We're on the French line, and it's just really good. A few rough patches here and there, but not many people down here since the wind and the rain and whatever sorted out the track. It's a little bit bouncy, as you can see. That's pretty standard, but we haven't got any of the big holes in the track. But there is a few dunes that from the wind they're quite sharp on our side. So we've got 2 cars going before, because there hasn't been a lot of traffic over here yet. We saw one other car today. Like I said, there's been one other, actually there was 2 cars that went, 2 cars went past early this morning before we were out of camp, headed west, and then there was 1 car on its own. Crazy, I think. You know, I could do crazy stuff, but I just wouldn't bother doing something remote, coming out here on your own sort of thing, you know. I mean, it'll all work out in the end, I guess, but, and most people are lucky, like I said, so, you know, but my decision would be, no, I'll take at least 1 other car, if not 2 or 3. I think, you know, 4 or 5 is a good number. The more you've got, the more chance you're going to have problems, so it's all about quality, not quantity selection. Quality cars, again, people with the right maintenance and the knowledge, they want to know about their cars, understand them, they, you know, prepared to work on them, you know. I'm not a mechanic on holidays, right? I'm an organiser. I just organise the trip and all the solutions to the problems. I don't do it. I do it in the workshop, sometimes. Anyway, one of the dunes was a bit of a challenge, so the Max Tracks came out and they got the job done. I've got to say, on this trip, Max Tracks have been used a few times, including, so the situation that where it all started, there was a recovery strap on the HILUX to the Prado that was near the top of the dune. Tried to pull it forward, didn't work. HILUX has got problems, okay, stop that. But then we've got a tight strap. Hey, what's your solution there, right? So of course, the shovels and the Max Tracks came out with the Prado, which was then able to drive forward, take the slack off the strap, etc, etc. So, you know, it's easy enough to sort out the problems if you slow down and think and plan it, right? So that's my job. And of course, input from the group. It's the crew, it's team effort, so get everybody thinking and having a chat about it, and you can easily come up with a few ideas, and someone might come up with an idea that it might be like a solution, it might not be suitable, but it might spark the idea that is the solution. So no idea is dumb. It's good to have the discussion and put it out there, what the possibilities are. Like at the moment, we've got a lot of possibilities of getting the vehicle fully mobile again. You know, I could get on the sat phone, organise parts, and maybe even have them in Birdsville by the time we got there. But then things are pretty slow these days, maybe not. And then is it worth it? So what would that cost? And if the vehicle can make it out of the desert 2-wheel drive, well, can't it make it a bit further and all that sort of thing? And then do you use your RAC? I always say, if you're going to go more than 100 k's from home, RAC cover, right? Because then you'd be able to get the towing to get it towed home. You could do that. We can make use of that. Or it can be driven home. RAC isn't coming out here on the desert. That's the one you need separate insurance and covers for, or you need to have thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, to pay the people that have got the recovery equipment, tow trucks that come out on the desert from Birdsville or Mount Dare, whoever does that. I'm not up to date with the details on that. I just know that it was minimum 10 grand. I think that was 10 years ago, so I don't know what it is now. So I suppose it depends how nice you are and all that sort of thing. But a few things to think about anyway, while we're just showing you the scenery, cruising the desert, check out the views. It's time to pick out a campsite for our second day on the desert. In the next probably half an hour to an hour, we'll try and get a little bit extra. We had about a 3-hour break, if you like. So we'll try and push a few extra Ks out. We're not really behind schedule because we were ahead of schedule. So we're ahead of schedule, but we've got to be ahead of schedule to allow for possibilities of getting behind schedule, right? So it doesn't mean something's not going to fall off another vehicle yet, right? Another reason to have 5 vehicles and a sat phone and some tools and some experience working on vehicles. Bada bing. Stay tuned. Let's see if we can make it off the desert. Sound like drama.